Hey everybody, it's Devontae Parker here with my first podcast. Thank you guys for listening in. Please follow me on Instagram at Nikos Logic, Nekos Logic. Go ahead and do that right now. Today I'm going to talk about first dates. So this is going to be quick and I'm going to give you guys my opinion in between. So once I ask these questions, I have 10 questions total that I want to ask, and then I'm going to explain myself and give a little fact as well throughout it. All right. So first dates. What kind of questions are appropriate to ask a man or a woman on first date? So I went and asked a few men and a few women what kind of questions you would ask on a first date. Now, in the present time in 2019. So, I'm going to start off with the men first. What would you ask a man on the first date? So, one woman told me that the first thing she would ask is, what do you do for a living? That's a sensible question. That's important. You need to know if they're stable. So you need to know what kind of job they have. And this usually is kind of like, depending on what you do, if you're a policeman, it might be a check mark. If you work at a convenience store, it might be an X, for, their little bucket list. Because when you come into your first date with somebody, you're going to look at how they dress, how they groom themselves. You're going to look and kind of feel, who are they? What kind of impression are they going to give? First impressions are everything to a lot of people. So the second question was, what is your biggest fear? Now, asking somebody what is your biggest fear in the first date, it has to be like something that, to me, it has to be like situational. You can't really just go out and just ask them, okay, well, we're talking about what type of beer you want, and you ask me what's your biggest fear, that's kind of awkward and going to throw you off. So that's, that's probably going to put you on the low end. So the third question is, what is your religious beliefs? Now, I think this is a great question because this is a make it or don't type of question. If you're a Catholic and then you're Jewish, I don't see how that'd work most of the time. If you loved, it's just, it doesn't work. If you believe in war, it won't work. So, knowing what somebody believes in, and sometimes you can tell by how someone dresses. If they have a cross on, or if they come in there with I don't know what the Jewish hat is called. I forgot. But if they come in there with that hat on, maybe that can be an instant turn off or a turn down. And sometimes you can turn these things into a friendship, depending on what you believe in as well. Also, the next question, which rides into that about friendship, is the fourth question is, do you have kids? And how many? So that can also make and break, because some people have preferences of finding a woman or finding a man, that doesn't have any children, so they can start their own family, or you have men that, you have women that do not care so much that if you have one or two children, they still would not lose any interest in you at all. And some men or women love kids, so they might want to be with you regardless. And the fifth question that a woman would ask a man is, do you have debt? Now, personally, I don't think that's a good question to ask on a first date. But if you're going to ask that kind of question on the first date, then you are pretty damn bold. And that could also be a make or break kind of question, because I would not ask a woman how much debt she was in on our first date. And that, because I feel like that would be a total turnoff, that I'm only after her for certain reasons. So that is the 5 questions that I took from a woman that would ask a man. And again, this is not all these questions are not from one woman. These are from multiple women. And so if you have any questions that you would like for me to consider on my next chapter of First Date, then please go ahead and send that to me. Please leave it in the comments. I'll be greatly appreciate that, so I can do a round 2 of this and hopefully do it better. Again, please, if you made it this far, thank you a lot for just being part of this and actually listening to me for this long. So now, my other 5 questions for men to women. Okay, so what would you ask a woman on your first date? So I think these are the men are going to ask more simplified questions, which was expected. So just asking, how old are you? That's smart, because a lot of women nowadays dress, the younger women dress a little older, and this makeup is very, it can get some people in some real trouble. Do you have a car? Okay, that's really simple. I mean, yes or no question, not really an open-ended question. Are you single? I don't really believe that men really ask if you're single. I mean, they'll ask it, but it really doesn't matter if you say you are taken. Nowadays, in 2019, just to be honest, I don't believe that it really matters if you say you're single or that you're single or taken, because if they really want you, they're still going to do something to try to get you, and it'll kind of show their intentions. If they're still trying to go after you, that usually means that they only want one thing from you. All right, so question number 4, what are your hobbies? So this could be a good question, a big question for men, coming from a man, because if your hobbies is playing a couple of different sports, 9 times out of 10, I believe that's going to be a huge boost. So if you tell me, since I'm a soccer and basketball player, those are my 2 sports that I love to play. And if you told me that you love to play basketball and soccer once or twice a week, that's going to be a big boost for me, a big morale boost, It's going to be like, okay, so she likes sports. So that's just that's something I would say. Or if you said cooking, because I love to eat as well. And number 5, where were you born and raised? So this is kind of a question more of where, depending on where you're born and raised will depend on how you can be seen. If you're from Alabama, don't know much about Alabama. So, you can give them a different picture. Or if you're from the same town as they are, it just can be a coincidence. But knowing where you're born and raised could be 2 different places. You can be born in Mexico, but you was raised in the United States. You can be born in Europe, but it could mean something different. It can open someone's mind up as well. So that's the 5 questions for the men. And so you kind of hear my opinion on this on the topic as well. On the first dates, I really feel like that people should ask more of the simplified questions, more over towards what the women were asking, but the men questions were as well very simplified, as I said before. So all comes together. This is what they're going back to that debt question. The debt question that a woman would ask a man, because it sounds like it's more of a rush. If you I would see that as if you asking how much debt I was in, either you were in a lot of debt or you have carried somebody. That question sounds like it's coming from a past experience. Like if you were having to carry somebody on your back that had debt and you were paying off their debt, and then at the end you can't get that money back, all that money that you put into that person that you invested into them, you can't get it back. So I also want to give you guys one fact about that. According to the CNBC, the average person has over $38,000 in personal debt on average. So on average, every person that you talk to has about $38,000 in debt. I mean, that is high chances. So I can see why you would ask somebody that. And I mean, personally, it shouldn't matter, because if you're looking for a partner, that debt will go down eventually, and you can get rid of that debt because you can work together on that. But that's a different story for a different time. Thank you guys for going ahead and listening to my podcast. I know it's just about first dates, just about a simple topic, but this is just something I want to get out there and try and see what you guys' opinion is like. Thank you. Make sure you catch the next podcast soon enough. All right, guys. Devontae is out.